The third eye, also called the mind's eye or the inner eye, highly surrounded around mysticism, said to be the mystical invisible eye, usually depicted on the forehead, provides perception beyond ordinary sight, generally referred to the brow chakra, representing the enlightenment one achieves through meditation. The third eye refers to the gate that leads to the inner realms and spaces to higher consciousness, often associated with siddhis, clairvoyance, the ability to observe, precognition, out-of-body experiences, etc. Now, I'm here to offer a different observation on the third eye. I'm trying to offer a different interpretation of perception. First off, we need to discuss the eye versus the eye, the similarity between the two and what they represent. We have the eye as in the eyes of the body, the two eyes which we look out of, spelt with E-Y-E-S. And then we have the eye spelt with just the eye, which represents oneself. The words being able to be hid amongst one another due to their similarity in sound. Similar to the words as hear and hear, or see and see. So we have the eyes of the body and the eye of the self. But just in terms of the eye of the self, when we dive deeper into ourselves, we recognize there are two selves. There are two eyes, a split. Like the brain, a split between left and right. Just like in the body, our eyes are two. We have the one on the left and the one on the right. Seemingly our eye split into two, seen as the false eye and the true eye, the left and the right. The occult often hiding the one eye to symbolize the programming of the other side of the brain and the secrets and mysteries which they have hidden from normal man. Which are plainly put, you are a being of light, the God incarnated, and that is every single person, not selected people. The recognition of this takes much mastery. The journey, which short for most people was around 12 years, but it entailed much hard work, determination, self-sacrifice, and falling into myself to find both the light and the dark, to reunite and combine them into one, which leads me on to my idea of the third eye, which this one we don't spell E-Y-E, we spell with the I, the third eye. So the combination of the two eyes creates a third one. The combination of the false eye and the true self creates the true self, which incorporates all. This could be seen as the third eye or one eye, such as the all-seeing eye, when the two create the one, or the two creates a third. So from the left and the right, we are balanced, we are centered with the creation of a center point, balancing the two sides of the brain and sitting us in a new position from a third eye perspective. And after finding the true self and deteriorating the ego, siddhis and powers come along with that as you are connected to the consciousness of life. This relates highly to the observer which sits behind and watches all, the observer which you are, the observer which is called God. And God has many faces and appearances, working through all things. And when one recognizes what they truly are and the combination of themselves, the mastery of the body, they will recognize the God within themselves, which will bring the creation of the third eye, or the oneness, the all-seeing eye, the one instead of the many, the union instead of separation. And yes, this has been manipulated in our realm. There are cults and societies that know the truths which I speak about, that every man has the ability to create, every man is God incarnate. But these hide that from the common man so they can control and manipulate to play out God themselves through an egotistical point of view. Instead of it being a golden age of everybody being enlightened and knowing who they are and what they are, which I believe we are coming back to. This can no longer be hidden. The power that what you are, and this is being taken, harvested from you, stolen, your energy, your knowledge, your wisdom, who you are, put into a system of forgetfulness, the blind leading the blind. And many wake up to what they truly are, not waking up to the material aspects of the realm and the lies, waking up to the higher facts of life itself, connecting and becoming one. It's an experience that only a few have had, and I have been graced with this experience of all is one. Through hard work, determination, hours and hours upon breathing techniques, meditation, delving with inside the self, calming the mind, watching the thoughts, finding the true self, finding the stillness, as well as tackling the physical in terms of diets and toxicities into my body. But the main process was an inner clearing of all the programming that has been input on me from the day I was born. And once that programming is reversed by inner meditation, finding yourself, ultimately you are released. You know, it's strange for me now, because when I look back, it's hard to remember. It feels like another life. It truly does. Everything that I did to get where I'm at, it feels like a whole different life. Because ultimately, it was somebody else. When the ego was dissolved, I suppose a lot of that was also. But one thing that I remember purely upon anything, and my friend Erica reminded me of this, was dropping down to the heart. Many people speak about the mind, and yes, the third eye is related to the opening of the mind, which is brilliant. This is just a different interpretation to that. But the mind itself must be cleansed to ultimately drop down to the heart to feel the compassion and love. The heart is where we sit, and we must actually sit in the heart rather than in the mind. And this is one of the most important aspects that I ever took, which purely emphasised the pureness, the silence and the heart, asking you to work and master those aspects within yourself. Drop down from the mind into the heart. Stop questioning, stop jumping from pole to pole, from side to side, negative to positive, yes and no. The balancing in the centre of the mind ultimately allows a channel to drop down into the heart. And the heart is an important aspect. We must pray from the heart, not the mind. And when you pray, pray from your heart. When you wish, pray from your heart. When you motivate and when you strengthen yourself, do it so from your core, your heart. And the strangest thing is when you get to this point of oneness, you realise that you were always it and you didn't have to do anything. It's a contradiction and a paradox. You are it already without having to move a single finger. But the recognition of that takes much hard work. That is where the paradox can be answered. Yes, it is a paradox. But ultimately, for those that truly want to see, need to put in the seemingly hard work. So although everybody is a being of light, if you want to recognise that you are a being of light, that is an inner process of a journey inside. Yes, reading books may help, but it is nothing compared to that inner process. Really disciplining oneself and going in and tackling all one's own demons and self. Seeing the darkness in oneself before they can tackle the darkness in the world. We need to be honest with ourselves and transparent. And at that point, when we are honest and transparent, we light ourselves up. And we see ourselves from the observer's perspective. Instead of it being subjective, we are objective and we are balanced. And we are no longer chasing a pole of negativity or positivity, banging on about devil or the God. We see it all for what it is. And without the one, there would neither be the other. For light creates darkness. Without light, there would be no darkness. It is a cycle. And what I am fighting is not the life cycle of itself, the creation and destruction which is natural. What I am fighting is the hidden knowledge of what you are to be able to live your life in peace, instead of being anxious and fearful of the unknown. When if you knew what I know, you wouldn't be fearful of anything in this realm or the next leap, because that leap has already been taken and you are all and everything. You are beautiful. And the only thing that ever fights against you, if you really look into it, is your own mind. And when you see that mind, that corruption is inside every other single person. And until they tackle that corruption inside themselves, that mind will destroy them and destroy the earth. Your mind is your biggest enemy. Your mind is the devil and also God. The devil is Jesus' other face, and the devil's other face is Jesus. They're to tempt you, for you to succeed and not fall down to temptation and rise above. You've seen many people in the past that have claimed to be awoken, and a lot of these people laugh. Why do you think they laugh so much? Think of the cosmic giggle, the cosmic joke. For when you know this truth, all is beautiful. All in a sense is a joke. It's only when the human aspects fall down upon ourselves where we feel the sorrow. Ultimately, we're playing a game with ourselves. As spoke about before, many a times I look upon the other people of this world and I see myself playing a game of hide and seek, and not myself being Chad, but myself being awareness, consciousness, God, whatever you would like to call this force. This force is in everything, and that is animate and inanimate. It is everything, appearing in many faces, as I've said. So the creation of the third eye, or the dissolving of the two eyes to create the third eye, or the all-seeing eye, the one, has many representations, analogies and ways to explain it. And yes, we have the pineal gland within our brain, and yes, it releases DMT, but all this is achieved anyway through self-work. And that self-work, no matter how it presents itself to one, is all the same. Now, I might not see it as a third eye within myself looking out, giving me this awareness. I see it more as all is one and I have no eye. Almost like my eyes dissolved into nothingness or one, rather than creating a third. I will not argue on interpretation, because it can be either or. Dissolved or put together still creates the one, the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. When we think of the three eyes, it creates the triangle, the 3 points of everything. And you have the ultimate Father sitting back behind you, which you must become. The pinnacle point of the triangle, which creates the Son and the Holy Spirit. Which you are both of those, and combined you become the third, you become all. It is already there, it just must be uncovered. Love and light to all. You are all. Remember.